we're going to start a new series today, actually, and we're just calling it Carols. And what we're going to do is we're going to kind of walk through some of the Christmas carols that you may be or probably are familiar with. And we're going to take a look inside at some of the deep theological truths that are actually in there, because you don't always realize it when you're out with your family and you're singing and there's these warm songs and you don't stop to think, what am I really singing about? And if you pause for a minute and if you really look inside, you peel back some of the layers, you realize that there's some powerful, powerful things that are written down in these songs that we sing every year. So we're going to go through it. Today we're going to start with one of my personal favorites, which is "O Holy Night." Guess it's only my favorite. Arguably, I think it's one of the best ones ever written, is my personal opinion. So it seems like, as I looked through it seems like "O Holy Night" was actually written in the mid-1800s. All right, so let me tell you the story. There's a parish priest. He asked a French merchant and poet to write something for him from the scriptures from Luke chapter 2. Now, the poet's name is Placido Cappeau. All right, probably butchered the name, but whatever. He's not here anymore. So not only was this guy not a follower of Jesus, this guy was a devout atheist. Like he was a real problem, all right? So this guy was far from God. He didn't attend church at all ever, and he was a great poet. So tragically, apparently, he lost one of his hands in a gun accident, I think when he was like 8 years old. And so his family had a copper business, and so there was no place for him in the copper business, so he had to do something else. So he takes up literature, I'm sure much to his parents' chagrin. All right, so he also became a wine merchant. So he's varied and vast in his interests. And so, writing doesn't always pay the bills. So you got to find something else to do. So he does that. And in 1843, this French priest, he was looking to celebrate. They had a recently renovated parish. And they wanted to have a celebration for it. So he goes to this devout atheist wine merchant poet. And he asks him to write him a poem. So Placido, he writes the poem. And he loves it so much that he asks his friend to put it to music. Now, his friend's name is Adolphe Adam. You didn't know you were going to go to school today, did you? It's wonderful history. And this guy is not a follower of Jesus either. So the song then just takes off. It becomes so popular that then people actually find out who wrote this song. It's spreading through all the churches, not just Catholic churches, but it's spreading everywhere. Everybody's singing. And then they found out who wrote it. And they're like, we got to stop singing this. But it was too late. It had already taken off and it was too popular, just like it is today. Now, interestingly, apparently 5 decades later, it shows up again in a historical way. Because this guy is a Canadian professor, 33 years old, Reginald Fessenden. He did what people thought was impossible. In his garage, he made a little makeshift generator, and he put a microphone into it, and then he broadcast the very first AM broadcast. And the year was, 1906 on Christmas Eve. And he read from Luke chapter 2. And it said, "In those days, Caesar Augustus issued a decree with a census that should be taken of the entire Roman world." He read the Christmas story. He took out his violin. And on that AM radio broadcast, the very first one ever, he played "O Holy Night." You can't hear it, unfortunately. But it sounded hopefully, something like this. I'm going to have Reese play it, and I'm going to try not to mess her up too much. Great job, Reese. Thank you very, very much. I love that song so much. But when you think about that song, and you sing it like we just did, you think, oh, how warm and special, how nice it must have been. But that scene right there, it wasn't really like that. Right? What you've got is this teenage girl, right, Mary, pregnant by the Holy Spirit. And by the way, try to explain that to your family and to Joseph, right? Very difficult to explain and really making her an outcast. And she's there with her likely teenage fiancé, Joseph. And they've traveled, probably between about 80 to 120 miles. She's full on pregnant. She's on a donkey. Joseph is trying to lead her through all these miles. It is not a good experience. I drove Maria in a Toyota Camry about 10 miles, and it was hard enough. They're in a way different scenario. They come into the town and there's no place for them to stay. And so they go, there's no room in the inn, and so they end up in, we don't know exactly. Some scholars say it was more like a cave. Others say that it was more like a part of the house underneath where the animals were. But we know that the animals are there, and the manger is there, and they placed the baby in the manger. And so this young woman is there giving birth in just the worst environment imaginable. Like, this is not sanitary, everybody. That's not the scenario going on here. There's no epidurals for anybody. There's no medicines and medications available. And there's this young woman screaming in the pains of childbirth. I mean, it's tough. And they're alone. There's nobody with them. There's no angel hovering over that scene at that time. All these warm Christmas memories, not happening. Not right now. She's screaming. Joseph is freaking out probably. I mean, it's scary. It's chaos. It's panic. And that's probably what's happening in that little place around the manger. And in the middle of all of that, Mary is giving birth to the Son of God, Jesus the Christ. But even still, so far, that night doesn't seem all that holy. But this carol, O Holy Night, has a phrase that I really want you to pay attention to. And you may bypass it, but I want you to focus in, and I hope that you'll focus in on it all season long. It's what we sang, a thrill of hope. The weary world rejoices, for yonder breaks a new and glorious morn. If there's two words that I think accurately describe the world that we're living in right now, it's weary world. Don't you think? I mean, it just all seems so overwhelming. The rates of depression and anxiety are skyrocketing, especially amongst young people. Loneliness is rampant. Our nation is divided. It seems like every third person that you know is really struggling with some health problems. Families are struggling and fighting. We've got wars. We've got disasters. It's almost like we're all just kind of fighting to just stay above the water. And in some way, I bet every one of us can relate to a weary world. But I love the phrase that comes right before that, a thrill of hope. The thrill that hope brings. Just imagine in the chaos of that dark night, there still comes this thrill of hope. A thrill of hope. Those who put their faith in God, they'd waited for this day for centuries. And maybe this is it. Maybe the Messiah has actually come. Because on that day, everything changes. Everything now is going to be different forever. Never going back. And this carol carries and echoes that faith and that truth that hope has come into the world. And suddenly the weary world does what? It rejoices. I pray that if there's any weary world in you today, that you can experience before you leave some sense of the thrill of hope that Jesus brings. Because even in the chaos of your night, there is always a new and glorious morn. So don't just think about the night. Think about the day that's to come. Think about the new and glorious morn that's on the way when the sun comes up. Because the Savior was born. And on that glorious night and morning, everything changed. And so, because of that, one day with Jesus, it changes everything. Now, Pastor Pam didn't know this, but that's been on the sign for a couple weeks. But here we are, saying and believing that one day, one moment with Jesus changes everything. So let's dig in here for a second on the idea of a new and glorious morning. I'm going to go back to the Old Testament, a book called Lamentations that probably a lot of us don't read all the time. In the year 586 BC, Jerusalem has fallen to the Babylonians. The people are distraught. The prophet Jeremiah, he's lamenting. He's hurting along with everybody else. He might be whining just a little bit. And he pours out his hurting heart in this text. And in chapter 3, he switches. He moves from some mourning to a moment of faith. And in Lamentations 3, he says, I remember my affliction and my wandering. The bitterness and the gall, I well remember them, and my soul is downcast within me. Yet this I call to mind, and therefore I have hope. I think it's amazing, because he's telling the truth. It's bad. Like, the streets are tough. Like, it's bad out here. All right, but I'm going to call something else to mind. It's not here right now. It's not front of mind right now, but I'm going to bring it to the forefront of my mind. I will remember this truth. I can have hope when nobody else does because I know this is true. I'm going to call it to mind, and here's what he calls to mind. Because of the Lord's great love, we are not consumed, for his compassions never fail. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. I love it because he's saying God's compassions, they don't fail. In fact, they're new every morning. And then he just kind of loses himself in it, right? He's saying it. They don't fail. They're new every morning. And it's like he just switches from talking to just talking to God. Oh, great is your faithfulness. Continuing on, he says, I say to myself, the Lord is my portion. Therefore, I will wait for him. The Lord is good to those whose hope is in him. To the one who seeks him, it is good to wait quietly for the salvation of the Lord. It's good to wait quietly for God's salvation. Why? Because it always shows up. It will always come. It's amazing to just see what a new day with Jesus can bring. And so I want you to look at 3 truths really quick before we leave that I think can bring a thrill of hope to your weary world when it feels dark. The first is that a new day with Jesus can bring exactly what you need. Every new day with Jesus can bring exactly what you need. Notice I didn't say it'll bring you exactly what you want. Because you don't always get what you want, because what you need and what you want are different things. For Christmas, as I was growing up, my parents, they just decided that they were just going to we have 6 kids in our family. It's a blended family. And so we have 6 kids, and they decided they're just going to give us socks every year. And some years, the pickings were slim, and all we got was socks. And it became this big joke that you're opening socks, and everyone's like, ah, ha, ha, socks, oh, isn't it great? I never got the joke because I thought it was completely lame. Because I'm the youngest of the bunch, and so I was always like, where's the toys, man? Where's the fun stuff? This is not what I want, but it was something that I needed. And there's a big difference between those two. He says, I say to myself, the Lord is my portion, therefore I will wait for him. You ever talk to yourself? Oh, you admitted it. I didn't think you'd actually admit it, but you did. You're a bunch of weirdos. In college, I had my sister and her husband, they were visiting me, and I had an apartment, and they were sleeping in my room, and I was in the bathroom, and I was taking a shower, and I came out of the shower, and they were like, who were you talking to? And I said, I wasn't talking to anybody. I was in the bathroom alone. And they were like, oh, you were talking the whole time. And so apparently I was just talking to myself, essentially out loud the entire time. And so pray for your boy, all right? So I got issues. But sometimes you have to do it. Sometimes you got to talk to yourself. That's what Jeremiah is doing here. Every now, I say to myself. Sometimes you just got to be the best preacher to yourself. In the days when you need it, open up God's Word. Call it to mind. Remind yourself of who God really is. The Lord is my portion, so I'm going to wait for him. The Lord is my portion. What does that really mean? Some scholars think that they're referring to the Israelites wandering in the desert. And so God would provide food for them. And if they took too much, it would spoil. But every single day, it would be enough. And that's what he's saying. God was teaching them they're going to need him every single day. You know what I actually believe? I actually believe that you leak. I think that you get filled up with God and you say, God, come and fill my day, come and fill my morning, come fill me, spend time in the scriptures, spend time in worship, spend time in prayer. And you kind of get filled up a little bit with the Spirit. And through the day, I think you just kind of leak. It's why Paul says, I die every day. I got to die every day. It's why Jesus says that you should be being filled with the Spirit all the time, because it just kind of leaks out. So the portion that you have for one day, it's not enough for the next day. And for some of you, the day is rough. And so by the end of the day, you could use a little more. But he's enough for every single day. So he's saying, I'm going to call it to mind, God, you're my portion. And here's the good news. God's already in your tomorrow. He's got enough for you today, and he's got enough for you tomorrow. Did you hear me? God's already in your tomorrow. So he's got what you need. If your marriage is struggling, God's got what you need tomorrow. It's waiting for you. He has what your marriage needs. If you're weak today, God's in your tomorrow, and he has strength for you. It's available. If you're down, if you're lonely, if you're depressed, God's already there with the peace that you need to have. A new day with Jesus brings exactly what you need because he is your portion. So what you need is more of his presence. You need his reality. You need his strength. You need his power. You need his goodness. You need his life every single day. I say to myself, the Lord is my portion, so I'm going to wait for him. Secondly, a new day with Jesus brings us the hope to keep going. He's the thrill of hope in the weary world. He's the thrill of hope and faith when everything seems like it's darkness. Verse 25, the Lord is good to those whose hope is in him. To the one who seeks him, it is good to wait quietly for the salvation of the Lord. He's good to the one whose hope is in him. I've heard it said that, I'm not sure exactly who said this, but said we can live 40 days or so without food. We can live, some of you are like, no, we can't. We can live 8 days without water. We can live 4 minutes or so without oxygen, but we can live only 1 second without hope. Too many people today are just trying to survive deprived of hope. They don't have any. And the problem is, I think, that we end up just putting our hope in all the wrong places. I got my hope in my career. I got my hope in my spouse. I got my hope in this relationship. I got my hope in the boyfriend or the girlfriend. I got my hope in the paycheck. I got my, whatever it is. I got my hope in the government. I got my hope in the system. I got my hope in this or that. And those things, every one of those things that I mentioned will fail you. Yes. Every single one. Yeah. The Tom Cruise, you complete me thing, it's not, it's a lie. It's a lie. Some of you don't know what I'm talking about, and that's probably good. That means you're holier than I am. But no spouse, no person, no thing is meant to complete you. Only God Himself can do that. The stock market is a risky place to put all your hope. Your workplace, you already know, that's a risky place to put your hope. Another person, that's a bad place for your hope. Even just a certain outcome, that's a bad place for all of your hope. So we put all our hope in the wrong place, and then we just end up hopeless. Hebrews 10:23 says, let us hold unswervingly. I love that word. Let's hold unswervingly to the hope that we profess, for He who promised is faithful. He's faithful. It's a great picture. Like I want you to get a hold of this verse for your life. Grab a hold of the hope that we profess and don't let it go. Don't ever let it go. You don't ever actually have to let it go, because the one who promised, He is faithful. I just think the trouble today is so many people, they just let go of the hope. And for many people, and as a pastor, I've watched this over and over and over again, they just give up right before the day dawns. Brent, I tried it. I tried what you said. I came into your office, you talked for too long, you counseled me. I don't know if I agreed with what you said, but I tried it, and it didn't work. Didn't work. Then they give up when it was just right there. So often, that morning is dawning. And sometimes you've heard the phrase, I don't know if this is a reality or not, but I do think that sometimes it is darkest just before the dawn. What I can say for sure is that the Scripture says, don't let go of that hope. Hold it unswervingly, because the one who promised is faithful. So we got to do the exact opposite. Let go of your stress. Let go of your anxiety. Let go of your trust in something else. Let go of don't let go of the marriage, for certainly, but maybe let go of the relationship in some cases. That might be good for some people. I don't know. Let go of the things that you're putting your hope and your faith in, and hang on to the promises of God and don't let them go. My friend told me a story, it's kind of like the kid that has to solve the math problem in school. Remember that? Like a long time ago, some of you younger folks, you may not know this, but the teacher would invite you to come to the chalkboard, and you had to write it out. It's like, here's the most impossible algebra problem ever in the history of the world. And so in front of all of your third grade friends, why don't you come up and try it on the board? And you got to go up and you got to try it. And so you're working it out. Everybody's staring at you. You're sweating. You're dripping. There's sweat smears on the chalkboard. And you're writing it out. And you look at the teacher and they say, no, that's not it. Does somebody else want to try it? That's a horrible feeling, and some of you feel like that's how God is with you. Yeah, go ahead, try it. Do your best. I'm just waiting. Try it. Yeah, nice try. Nope, not the answer. Nope, it didn't work. That's not how this works. How it actually works is, you come up to the board and you start trying, and actually, He comes on right alongside you and says, it's okay, you got it. In fact, I'm right here and I'm going to help you. And if you screw it up, guess what? Just try it again. And I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to stay right here with you. And I'm going to help you get the answer that you need. So hold on to the hope that you profess. Don't give up. Don't cash out. Don't quit. Don't give in. There is a new day dawning. And maybe that day is that final day. But I can promise you the reality is there is a new day that's dawning. And then third, a new day with Jesus brings the help that you are seeking. Verse 26, it is good to wait quietly for the salvation of the Lord. Sometimes you just got to wait. What does it mean to wait quietly? It doesn't mean, well, just don't do anything. I don't know, whatever. Do what you want. That's not what it is. It means be still. Some of you need to be saved out of a situation. Some of you just need to be delivered. You need salvation of your soul. You need to be saved by a God who loves you. In the New Testament, a friend of Jesus named Lazarus, he'd been dead for 4 days. And they showed up, and the King James Version says, he stinketh. And you know that you're good and dead when they say, he stinketh. And so he'd been gone, hope was gone, Jesus shows up, tells them, hey, move the stone away. And then he looks into the grave and says, Lazarus, come forth. Lazarus, get up on out of there, come here. Lazarus, come here. And Lazarus, all wrapped in his grave clothes, to the amazement of everybody, he comes waddling out. I bet you Lazarus would say, it's amazing the difference that a day make with Jesus. There's a woman who suffered from an issue of blood for 12 years. Embarrassment, shame, pain, torture, private suffering. Every day hoping, could I just be done with this today? Maybe this is the day. I guess I'm just stuck with it. One day Jesus is passing by and she reaches out and touches just the hem of his garment. And power comes out of him and she is healed completely. I bet you she would say, there's a big difference that Jesus can make in just a day. Another man was unable to walk from birth for about 38 years. And at the pool of Bethesda, he's just laying there and Jesus walks up and says, hey man, pick up your mat and walk. After 38 years of not being able to do it, this man, he walks away. I bet you he would say there's an amazing difference that one day can make with Jesus. Some of you happen to be in that weary world right now, and you feel like you're living through the dark of the night. And I'm just telling you, there's a thrill of hope that will make your weary world rejoice. There's a new and glorious morn that is coming for you. So you might look at your marriage and think, it's never going to work. It's never going to be what it should be. We've tried long enough, and I just think it's over. I'm just telling you, you're underestimating the difference that a day can make with Jesus. Some of you are sick in your body, or somebody that you love is sick. We do serve a God who heals. He does heal. And I want you to know whether He heals how you think He should or another way, you can be whole. I'm telling you, one day with Jesus can make the difference. Some of you are in the dark night of your soul, and it feels like that night there's screaming, there's panic, there's no epidurals in sight. There's cows and they're lowing. I don't know what lowing means, but the cows are over there and they're lowing. Shut up, cows. Stop lowing. You're just stressing me out more. You're in the middle of the weary world and the dark night, but because Jesus is there, Jesus brings exactly what you need. It might not be exactly what you want, but it will be exactly what you need. Romans 13:11. Come on up, Reese. And do this, understanding the present time. The hour has already come for you to wake up from your slumber, because our salvation is nearer now than when we first believed. The night is nearly over. The day is almost here. So let us put aside the deeds of darkness and put on the armor of light. The night is nearly over, and the day is almost here. I just want you to hear it again, and I want it to get into your heart. The night is nearly over, and the day is almost here. Because yonder, which is probably a word that we should bring back to our vernacular. I'm from Texas, so it's already there. For over yonder breaks a new and glorious morn. And I guess I just have faith for it today. I guess I just have faith that you can have that today. And I may have even mentioned the specific thing that you feel like you need or want. Or I may not have. But here's what I know. You know. You know what it is. You know what the dark night is. You know what the panic is. You know what the screaming is. And here's the other thing I know. God knows as well exactly what it is.